should you carry other people's bags?
Well, that's my business, madame.
That's no business. That's social injustice.
That depends on the tip.
Entertain? What are you, an ambassador? Who do you want to entertain? Listen, if someone is really your friend, he comes after dinner.
Heil Hitler! Heil myself.
They called it the Lubitsch touch, as famous a moniker to filmgoers in the 20s, 30s, and 40s as Hitchcock's master of suspense, connoting something strangely indefinable, something light yet nonetheless tangible, a particular kind of spirit you could feel more than in any other picture maker's work. Ernst Lubitsch started out starring in and directing a series of short comedies in Germany in the teens. Eventually, he filmed a number of extraordinary silent historical dramas and uproarious comedies that made him Germany's most famous and popular director. In the mid-20s, he conquered America, bringing with him an old-world sophistication and humor about the battle of the sexes that changed American films forever. As Jean Renoir said to me years ago, Lubitsch invented the modern Hollywood. In 1939, with a script co-written by Billy Wilder, Lubitsch directed the divine Greta Garbo in what is arguably her finest picture, Ninotchka. Co-starring Melvyn Douglas, it's a thoroughly delightful comedy about the thawing out of a hard-boiled Soviet communist in pre-war Paris. The advertisements featured two words: Garbo laughs. Lubitsch used to act out in detail exactly how he wanted everything done, often broadly perhaps, but always succinctly. And this no doubt supplies the reason why the players in a Lubitsch picture, whether it's Garbo, Jack Benny, or Jimmy Stewart, all perform in the same unmistakable yet inimitable style. In 1940, he made one of his loveliest movies, The Shop Around the Corner, a charming story of love and mistaken identities in a Budapest department store that's as specific as it is universal. A classic high comedy and a remarkably touching look at human foibles and folly. It features James Stewart, Margaret Sullivan, Frank Morgan, and Felix Bressart.
The other day he called me an idiot. What could I do? I said, yes, Mr. Matacek, I'm an idiot. I'm no fool.
95 Tango 50 isn't bad for a rainy Monday 3 weeks before Christmas. Did you tell that to Mr. Matacek?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
He said, tell her not to come in that blouse anymore.
Tell him I won't.
I will.
His personality is so striking and likable that even his weakest films have quite a lot about them to recommend, more than many directors' best. Like his 1941 trifle, That Uncertain Feeling, co-starring Merle Oberon, Melvyn Douglas, and Burgess Meredith, about a bored married woman's attempt to revitalize her life. She's tired of a conventional middle-class husband and intrigued by an arrogant pianist's rude genius.
Perhaps someday I could hear you play it as it should be played.
Perhaps. I don't eat strawberries.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jack Benny told me about the time Lubitsch called him in the early 40s to ask if he'd be available to do a picture. Benny said, I'll do it. And Lubitsch said, but you haven't read the script. And Benny said, I don't have to read the script. If you want me for a picture, I want to be in it. It was Ernst Lubitsch, for God's sake. Who cares what the script is? The film became that classic black comedy, To Be or Not to Be, co-starring Carole Lombard in her last role and Robert Stack in his first, with the marvelous Felix Bressart again, about a troupe of Polish actors in occupied Warsaw and their tragicomic dealings with Hitler's Gauleiters.
So they call me Concentration Camp Erhard.
The picture caused a good deal of controversy in its day for purportedly being frivolous about Nazism, but its critics should have perhaps remembered Thomas de Quincey's famous maxim, if once a man indulges in murder, very soon he comes to think little of robbing. And from robbing, he comes next to drinking and Sabbath breaking, and from that to incivility and procrastination. For Lubitsch's picture survives not only as satire, but as a glorification of man's indomitable good spirits in the face of disaster.
It's becoming ridiculous the way you grab attention. Whenever I start to tell a story, you finish it. If I go on a diet, you lose the weight. If I have a cold, you cough. And if we should ever have a baby, I'm not so sure I'd be the mother.
I'm satisfied to be the father. To be or not to be? That it?